All right, well, welcome to today's webinar, and I'm Ann Sibley, and I'm going to be talking today about I don't know why it was fun to call it secret, or just 3 ways to build your confidence as a songwriter. And I feel like that's after working with songwriters for the last couple of years and running these online programs and also working with songwriters one-on-one, I have discovered that so much of good songwriting happens when I help people build their confidence. So that was the theme for today. And I'm going to share my screen here. Just hold on. I forgot to put it on the right thing. You don't need to see my email inbox. But I have some slides here that I'm going to share in a second. Hang on. Okay, cool. And I'm so glad those of you that are watching live and those of you that are watching afterwards, welcome. I want you to just feel welcome today. I'm not going to make it huge, I don't think, on the screen, just so you can also still see me. But let's see. Okay, so welcome. And these are the 3 ways, in my opinion, and in my experience, to become a more confident songwriter. So number 1 is to stop listening to your inner critic. So I've done some pretty deep inner critic work. Um, a lot of it was inspired by Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic book, such a book I recommend. And I love how she talks about, you're driving along and all your critics and all these fears, all these little voices, you want to turn them down, you want to turn down the stereo. And I'm also thinking it maybe was from Jen Sincero. Here, I'll even show you guys. I have a book called You Are a Badass, which I have to keep reading because the subtitle is How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. So if you're wondering if I ever doubt myself, I would say not only do I doubt myself, I do it on a daily basis. So we're all very human that way. So I've done this inner critic work, and it's amazing how much it helps to notice these different voices. And one of the ways that you could to do this, to stop listening to your inner critic and build your confidence in your songwriting, is to connect with your why. And I want you to ask yourself, why do I want to songwrite? Why is songwriting calling to me? Why do I love music? Why do I love to sing? Why does music really touch my soul? And I want you to connect with that. And I believe that's a way, when you're bringing these to the surface, your answers to these questions, you're going to inevitably quiet that inner critic and increase the volume on your why. And then it will build that, your desire and your ability to show up for your songwriting. And what I've noticed, and I noticed really early on, so I started songwriting when I was in my 20s, and I've been singing all my life, and my husband and I had already started to do our duo thing when we lived in Jackson Hole. And then I was a librarian, I was getting my master's degree. I was so busy with other things that were not music. And my husband bought me a guitar, and I'm like, okay, show me a couple chords. And I had no idea that I was about to start writing songs, and I never stopped. So that probably was when I was about 28. I'm going to be 48 soon. So I've been writing songs for 20 years. And what I discovered early on is my why of why I was doing it and why I was so called to it and why I would return to it was because it would help me make sense of my world. It helped me just understand what I was going through. It helped me access my emotions. So that could be something that's also true for you. It's a very healing practice. So if you go to show up at your songwriting and you're thinking this is a healing practice, instead of the inner critic that's like, why are you doing this? You're not as good as so and so. Are my songs even good? You start asking yourself that question. That's the inner critic, and that's the stuff that's going to stop your songwriting The why is going to remind you, like, I'm doing this because it's a healing practice. So that is secret number one, is stop listening to your inner critic. And that's one way to do it. And I dive much more deeply into this in my 6-week online program, which actually starts in a couple weeks. And then other things that help really just build that trust with yourself are some of these questions and things I like to tell my songwriters. You can ask yourself when you're songwriting, what does the song want? I learned that from Daryl Scott when I went to one of his songwriting workshops a long time ago. What does the song want? Is such a good way to get past your critic and just really interact with your creativity. Now, in the black box, I wrote, there are no rules. We put so many rules on ourselves, and I find that songwriters are so much more free when they can trust that there are no rules and just follow their creativity. And then trusting your inner voice. So that, right, instead of listening to an inner critic, I want you on the other side of your brain and into your heart. I want you to learn to trust your inner voice that is delivering these songs to you, is delivering lyrics to you. And a reminder that you are your harshest critic. I'm not even going to say probably your harshest critic. I'm going to say you are your harshest critic. I mean, I see songwriters in my groups. I have a membership group, and we meet multiple times a month. And we share songs, and I coach them. And they're all people that graduated from the 6-week course. Well, I have somebody even just recently that, like, she's been in the course for so long, and she writes great songs. And she was even like, now, do you really like my songs, or are they just really not that good? So, I mean, it's not funny. We really are harsh critics on ourselves. And the more we can become aware of that, hopefully the more we can lessen that. All right, so number 2, and then I'm going to share a song here soon, because what fun would a songwriting workshop be without a song? But my number 2 secret to building your confidence as a songwriter is to tune into your heart before you start writing. And ways to do this. So if you're tuning into your heart, you're not as much in your thinking mind. And the thinking mind is where that critic is also going to come in, which is going to get you stuck. But if you're tuning into your heart, you might do things like read a poem. So I have a poem that I love to share. It's by a young poet who's amazing. And her name is Morgan Harper Nichols. And the reason I fell in love with her is because she, on social media years ago, put out a call to people to share what they were struggling with. And then she wrote a poem about every person that said, like, hey, I'm struggling with this, or I just lost someone, or I'm always doubting myself. And she wrote a poem to each person who sent her something. And I'm forgetting what the name of the book is, but I own it. But you can look up Morgan Harper Nichols. And to tune into my heart, sometimes I will go to poetry. So here's a poem I will read to you so we can tune into our heart right now. Listen out for the low-pitched song of the bluebird, the rustling leaves, the sound of rain. Listen for any little reminder of life. Feel it call you by your name. And this, as you can imagine, I talk about this in my 6-week program. As you can imagine, reading poetry is also going to help you write beautiful lyrics, which I know everyone always wants to get better at their lyric writing. So read some poetry, find some poetry. Another way to get into your heart is to play and to noodle around, right? I remember, going to bluegrass festivals and being in jams, and they're like, I'm just, noodling on my instrument, playing around, having fun, bringing that fun. And I'm not going to do writing prompts right this minute, but that was a note for another workshop. We are going to do writing prompts, but bringing that sense of play, almost that feeling you had like when you were a kid, or you see your kids when it's like, all right, it's time to go play. You're like, it's time to go play on the playground and go to recess. It's that like, oh yes, and they're like bursting through the doors and you're just like so free and happy. Um, Trying to tap into something that makes you feel like that, I guarantee is going to bring you more into your heart for your songwriting. And that's going to lighten the songwriting in a way that you're not so critical and you're not just like crossing stuff out as you're writing. We don't want that. And you know what, maybe that's a good segue into a song of mine, because I want to share my process a little bit. And you know, actually I'll share my process and then I'll play a little bit of this song of mine. Let me take us off our sharing screen. But my process is a sense of play. And I mean, it's also like I can be feeling some major emotions and feeling really moody, right? It's not like light play. And I can just be like, I need to make some music. Ah. And so I'll pick up my instrument and I will, I'm going to get in the key for that next song. I will put my capo on, or I will just play in an open key. I don't know if you guys can't really see my guitar. Let me move that one. And I will just start playing something. And I really attune into my heart. It's all the things we've talked about. I'm turning off my thinking brain. And I'm just, I'm really tuning in and I'm listening. And what I've discovered over the years is that creativity is like an energy all around us. Creativity is like a bed of water, like a creek running by outside my house. And it's always there. And when I tune into that, I'm going to tap into this music. So that's what I try to trust and tap into. And I just start making things up. I might just be humming at first. I see now. And I just start letting, right, 20 years of songwriting. But I was doing this from the beginning as well, was not editing it as it was coming out. I was letting it flow. So it's almost like damming up the river versus like, I'm just going to let this flow. Think of some beautiful body of water or some pipe with water running through it, anything that makes you feel like you're in your flow. And you just let those lyrics and things start coming. So that's been my process. And I wrote a song. I don't have a ton of story songs, I wouldn't say. I write a lot of, you know, maybe what you'd even call like poetic and esoteric songs. But I have a really special story song I wrote about my grandmother. And the reason I started writing it was because now I lost my grandmother when I was 13, right? And this is like at the age of 30. I had already started songwriting. I was making music. And I all of a sudden had this really strong sense of her presence. I was literally like hanging something up in my closet. And I was like, whoa, I could just feel her presence. And I am just in my mind, whether this is like how the story went, I immediately was like, I need to go write this song. Or shortly after, I started writing this song about her and about her story. So I'll sing a little bit of this song. It's an old song of mine, and it's called This Silver Ring. She hid a light, scraps and pieces. She sewed them tight so no one could see. A husband lost, 3 children to raise. Times were hard. I just realized I forgot to turn on. Hold on. Okay, I forgot to turn on original sound for musicians, so that probably wasn't sounding very good. Let me start again. She had a life, scraps and pieces. She sewed them tight so no one could see. A husband lost, 2 children to raise. Times were hard, her edges frayed. dawn to dusk. Her hands were strong, with mouths to feed. She'd carry on when the dishes were done and the children grown. Solid like an oak tree, she plowed right on. Now all that's left is this silver ring. But in my heart, where no one can see, colorful quill, silver dollars, a warm embrace with a kiss to follow. Now all that's left is this silver ring. But in my heart, no one can see, a colorful quill, silver dollars, a warm embrace with a kiss to follow. This silver ring. Gosh. Well, there's nothing like music. There's nothing like music to bring us into our heart space. So if you're feeling that song, I want you to just notice like where you're feeling it, because that's what I mean when I talk about turning down the inner critic and getting into your heart space. And that's a beautiful place to write from, and writing from an authentic place, right? I mean, that was about my grandmother and her life, and she used to make quilts and sew blankets, and I missed her, and it was like, wait, she's gone, and all I have is this like little, like, you know, silver spoon ring that's like hers to remind me of her. But people can't see, I just have all these like memories in my heart. And I've always been able to communicate better through songs than through just my speech. And so the songs, once they're out of me and they come out, I then understand more of like how I'm feeling inside about the world, about these relationships. So songwriting is very, very, very special. Okay, well, let's get to number 3. Let's see where I am in my little slideshow. Hopefully you can see my screen again. So my third secret, there were 3 ways. One was turning down the inner critic. The second was getting into our heart space. Number 3, and this has been something I've really been thinking about a lot recently, making peace with what you already know. So we live in such a culture of, you need to know more. I mean, you've been conditioned, right? However little or much you realize it, to just be like, I need to learn more. I don't know enough. The pros know, oh, these people are so much better. And I never, you know, I don't know enough chords. I say like, scratch all that, because that really doesn't allow the songwriting to flow. That doesn't build your confidence in your songwriting. And I want to hear your songs. That's what's so cool in this 6-week program, is that people write their songs and they even share them, which is totally scary, but then incredibly rewarding. Some people have like never sung in front of other people. Some people have sung in front of other people a lot, but it's still uncomfortable to share your songs. And we normalize that. We make it something that we want to hear from everybody. So I really encourage my songwriters to literally like make a list. And I want you to do that today or sometime in the next day or so. Make a list of what do you already know. So if it was me, I would say, I know that I like to sing low. I know that I know chords on the guitar. I know some minor chords. And so you just start literally making a list. Like you're almost also trying to trick your brain into not just saying you always just need to learn more and you don't know enough. So you're like, okay, what do I know? I know I love to sing in front of other people, whether that's true for you or not. So find all those things. And let me show you. This is something we talk about a lot in the 6-week program, but we look at what I call as your toolkit. And your unique thumbprint, like all the things that are in your toolkit are what you already know. And so I want you to figure that out. Like Maybe you're a writer, maybe you write a lot of poetry, or maybe you're, instrumentalist and you know all these different chords. So look at your toolkit, look at where you are, with what you already know. And then while you're doing this, you might come up with like, gosh, I've really been wanting to learn more minor chords, or I've really been wanting to learn how to warm up my voice and strengthen my voice, and jot those down on the side, because that's an exciting thing you're going to add to your toolkit. Right? That's what we do in the program too. When people work with me one-on-one during the 6-week program, or when I work with my private clients, they're constantly asking me, Anne, how do I do this? And what, and then I'm answering those technical skills, and they're building their skills one at a time. But first, let's really take stock of what you do already know, because you know so much. And let's see how we're doing on time. Let me show you one more slide of things I like to talk about to my songwriters to build your confidence, is also really listening to other people's songs and paying attention to how they make you feel, but also paying attention to like, how did they build from the verse to the chorus? How long was the song? How short was the song? What are they like? What's that chord that they're using that I like so much? So go to your favorite songwriters and your favorite songs. And that's really going to inspire you, and also just a way for you on your own to build your own songwriting skills. And I'll bring songs into the 6-week program that I do, and we'll look at them. And then I'll bring my songs and we'll look at them. And then we'll look at your songs. And it's a really neat way to build your confidence as a songwriter by building these skills of yours and adding to your toolkit. So what we're going to do right now, and since most of you are probably watching this as a replay, I have these writing prompts. And what we're going to do is take a few minutes, and you're going to just grab one of these, and with that sense of play and that inspiration, hopefully you're feeling at this point, I want you to grab whichever one of these sounds interesting and start a song. Start a song with less inner critic, connecting into the heart, and also thinking about and going forward with what you already do know. So let me read these prompts. And I just realized I used these prompts recently because I started a song with I Can Just Imagine. So I want you to use one of these prompts. I actually want you to pause the webinar, because I want you to take longer than I'm going to take today. I want you to do at least 10 minutes. So set a timer for 10 minutes. Take one of these prompts. You could take more than one prompt if you want, or maybe you end up coming up with your own. But I want you to start on a song today. It's really important. Don't skip this part. If there's anything you do today, it's this part, because you're growing your muscle and you're building your confidence by actually starting a song. So I want you to set your timer, take 10 minutes. I'm going to take a few minutes right now and take one of these. And any of my online live participants, I want you to hopefully do that right now as well. And so here are the prompts. I can just imagine, why would, take me, whenever you, last night, every time it only takes, I'm always, and it looks like. Okay, and when we come back, I'm going to tell you about that 6-week online program, and I'm offering a really special discount for you to make that decision quickly and come into that online program with me that is starting up April 21st and is the last one I'm doing in 2023. And it's really a life-changing program. It'll get you writing songs that didn't exist before. Okay, so let's set your timer right now. I'm going to mute myself for a few minutes and then I'll be right back. Okay, have fun songwriting. And if the inner critic comes up, just jot down what it's saying and share it with me so I can help talk to it. All right, take a last minute. And I decided to take a writing prompt because I always do in my group when we do writing prompts. And I've been using so many of these song starts, and I'll go back later and I will write a song from it. And I've really been enjoying that. I get all inspired talking to you guys about songwriting. And one thing I'd recommend today, since it was a short amount of time, is that you pull out your voice memos and you record it so you don't lose it. And the way I songwrite is I write down the lyrics with the chords up above. But when it's like a little short spurt like this and I'm not sitting for a little while, I'm bound to forget the melody. And so I would recommend recording that today. And we do this a lot in my program and in my songwriting membership. And I wanted to take a few minutes to tell you about this online songwriting program. I used to call it a course, and I decided since we're all adults, I want to call it a program. And this is the third year that I'm starting to run these programs. And I only do them a couple times a year. The max participants is 10 people. It's all on Zoom. So it's pretty phenomenal because we are gathering people from all over the country. We meet as a group 1 to 2 times a week in the evening after work. And I've got a lot of retirees too, but we're always doing it in the evening. And you also get private coaching sessions with me on your songs. So you bring a song to the Zoom, you play it for me, you're like, I need help here. Do you think that, you can ask me all kinds of questions. And like we did today, I'm really building songwriters' confidence. And it's pretty incredible to be able to not be so isolated in your songwriting and to be able to have time with me. As a songwriter, we can zero right in on exactly where you need the most help and where you want the most feedback. And then in the group calls, I'm going over lots of, tips and my process. And then we are also sharing songs with each other. And that is so powerful. You will be so inspired. I watch it every time. I've, had lots of groups of tens of people go through this in the last couple of years. I'm like, how many people has it been so far? I don't know, maybe 50. Tens of people. And so it runs for 6 weeks. And now it starts soon. The course is $1,500. But what I'm offering is if you sign up in the next 48 hours, as you're feeling inspired, I will take, let's see, I'm going to take $300 off the program. So that brings it down to $1,200. So it's a 6-week program. It includes all these group calls. Plus, you will get a call before the class starts with me, and then 2 calls. These are all private ones. That's 3 total with me, these songwriting sessions. So the 6-week online program, you just need to set up a consultation call with me. And I love learning about your songwriting journey. And I want to hear more about where you are with songwriting and the help that you need. And it's, as we said at the beginning, it's such a healing practice. So those are some of the ways to build your confidence as a songwriter. That's my program. I also started a podcast, so I hope you check that out as well. And I'm so glad you guys are here today and that you took the time to say yes to your songwriting, and that anyone who's watching it afterwards, if you didn't do it yet, make sure you go do that 10 minutes, and hopefully it'll even turn into more, where you'll be excited about the song that you started. And that's what we're looking for: excitement and healing and just that love for music. So thanks for being with me today, and reach out to me. You should easily be able to find me and set up that free consultation call I do. And if you are interested in that August program, let me know that as soon as possible. I have new people signing up every week. We're not full yet, but I want to make sure there's a space for you if you're interested. All righty. Friday webinar here. All right, guys. Have fun songwriting.